Having an out-of-body experience does not equate to astral travel, but many people think it does, so people use those two terms interchangeably. The thing is, there are many different types of out-of-body experiences, and astral travel is only one type of an OBE. When you only associate out-of-body experiences with astral travel, there are many things that are completely misunderstood and can cause confusion. So I want to bring clarity to this and talk about astral travel versus other types of OBEs. So let's talk about it. Welcome back to another episode of Mystical Recall here at mysticalrecall.com. I am Vernita C. Ray Sherman, and I'm an interdimensional traveler and OBE mentor that works with individuals who are having spontaneous out-of-body experiences that want to manage those experiences with comfort and ease. And this is episode 7. And on this episode, I want to dive right into the difference between astral travel versus other OBEs. All right, because everyone is using it interchangeably. You know, there's been times when people have introduced me to other people and said that I astral travel when really I have out-of-body experiences that go beyond astral travel along with astral travel. Astral travel is not the only form of OBE. And I hear a lot of people teaching people that that's what that is. And I'm like, okay, if someone's having spontaneous out-of-body experiences and they think that the only form of an out-of-body experience is astral, then there are many things that they're not going to understand. And there's freakouts that may happen because they may think that they're only in the astral realm and things go beyond that. All right, so let's talk about the two primary planes that you visit when you come out of your body. That is non-physical and physical. And yes, you can visit physical planes outside of your body because your etheric body or your astral body does not go with you into those planes. It is your consciousness that travels into those other versions of yourself. And those other versions of yourself already have the body double, the etheric body or astral body that looks like the physical body in that particular plane. So let me break this down. One thing that I always say is to keep things simple. I don't separate the energy bodies into little separate compartments. Like I don't say there's the soul body, the spirit body, the astral body, the etheric body, and all these various different bodies, the emotional, the mental, and all these different things, because it confuses people. To keep it simple, there's one energy body that has multiple layers, but I talk about them as if it's all one thing and don't get into the individual layers. And I prefer to use the term etheric body. When I'm saying etheric, I also mean astral, okay? Now, this body looks like the you that you are right now. So me, Vernita, that you see on the screen, for those of you who are watching and not just listening, there is a see-through transparent version of the me that I am that looks like me right now. It would be the equivalent to what if you watch a movie or TV show, what they portray a ghost to look like, the see-through transparent person. It looks just like that, but it's bigger than you. It's like it's you, the physical you is inside of it as opposed to it being the other way around. So it's bigger than you. It's see-through, it's transparent. And when you leave your body, your physical body, you can feel it drift away sometimes. Now, there's sometimes you don't always feel it drift away, and I'm going to get into that later, but it is what you're feeling drifting away. It is that body double, all right? And it's a body double because, again, it looks like you in this physical reality. There are multiple versions of you in parallel realms. I'm not going to get into the science of it. I am not a physicist, a scientist, into quantum physics and all that. I do like quantum physics, but I'm not the expert in it. Can tell you how the electrons and the neutrons and all that's moving around. I don't get into all of that. I speak based on my experience, and I speak based on what I receive in other realms, telepathically, and memory opening up. Okay? So there's multiple versions of you, the way that you are right now as a person you know yourself to be, on multiple planes of existence. Okay? Now, these multiple planes are within different, let's see the best way for me to describe it. Let's just use earthly plane, right? So you have this one earth, There's other Earths too, but I'm not going to get into all of that. This one Earth within this particular universe has multiple planes of it. Within those multiple planes, you have even more planes, if you will. I don't separate terms, realms, worlds, and planes. I use them interchangeably for the same reason with etheric, astral, and all that. It gets confusing when you separate all these things, right? Trying to explain stuff like this gets very confusing when you start using labels for every single little thing. And it's the reason why people don't understand certain things and how life works, because when someone uses one particular label, someone else will be like, no, it's this, no, it's that. And they're talking about the same thing. It's just the label that they're using to describe it is different. So I keep it really simple as I possibly can. There are different realms, different worlds, whatever. I'm just going to say planes right now of Earth by itself. There are different planes of other planets, and there are different planes of other star systems. Okay. And so everything is not non-physical. There are multiple physical planes that you are on. So if you take your consciousness into another version of yourself, another aspect of yourself, you're not necessarily in a higher dimension. You could be in another 3D realm or a 4D realm. You know, it can be the same exact dimension that you are here, but it's just a parallel version. There is no past life and future life. We talk about past and future because that's how we perceive things in this reality. So I don't mind saying past and future, but please understand that all of your lives are right now. And you know that when you have your experiences, when you have these out-of-body experiences. So I'm speaking to people specifically with this podcast who are having spontaneous out-of-body experiences. So when you have these experiences and you see yourself, if you do, you may be thinking that you're in a past life or future or whatever the case may be, but really it is you traveling on another plane that exists right now. Okay, so let's get that out the way. So not only are you in existence in other planes as the you that you are right now, but also as other people that you are. You are not just who you know yourself to be. You are other people, human and non-human, in other lifetimes that exist right now on a parallel plane. Okay? So when your consciousness travels without the body, meaning the etheric or astral body, it does it because your consciousness, or I should say your conscious awareness, really, because you're traveling all the time, but your awareness of it going somewhere else is going into another version of you somewhere that already has a body double. So your etheric body does not have to go with it because there's already a body waiting on you, put it that way. Okay? Another thing to understand is that when your consciousness travels, it can travel into the spirit realm, not just another physical plane, without a body. So there will be times when you have an out-of-body experience where you do not feel that drift away feeling, okay? And it can be because your consciousness is what's traveling, and you're in it's different for different people because there's so many different types of out-of-body experiences. I'm going to break it down to just a few, but there's so many types. And you may have experienced this, and if you haven't, you will at some point, because there's more than just astral travel. That is like a beginning stage. Once you get past astral travel, you'll experience some of the things I'm about to say. And that is your consciousness, your awareness is in a state where there's nothing there. And what I mean by that is everything is dark on the sides, okay? But in front of you is a screen, so to speak. The reason why I'm calling it a screen is because it will have one of two shapes. It could be rectangular, like at a movie theater, and it can also be circular, like you're looking through a telescope. You have no body. If you were to look down at yourself, there's nothing to see. It's like nothingness. You're just pure consciousness, just pure spirit, seeing something play out in front of you, which is usually a scenario. You see a scenario that's playing out right in front of you on a screen. The screen could be like you're sitting in the front row of a movie theater, like this, or it can be a little further back. It's different than what some people call remote viewing because yes, you're viewing remotely, but you're not viewing from your body's perspective. It's not like you can feel yourself in your physical body and then you're seeing some remote place. That's not what I'm talking about. That can happen as well, but that's not what I'm talking about. I am saying that your awareness is completely out of your body and you're in this in-between spirit realm place with less like a nothingness because everything is dark except for what's in front of you. You see scenarios that are playing out. It could be one scenario, a situation that's playing out somewhere, or you can see one here and then another one over here, and you can choose to pop in or gently enter yourself into that reality. I say pop in, but that's just how I say it sometimes. But you can basically phase yourself into that reality if you want to, and then have your experiences there. That when you're seeing the screen, whether it is square or it's circular, that is called Inslide Ability. And I know this because that is what another aspect of me communicated to me telepathically when I'm in these. I was actually looking at different lives that I had and so many different scenarios playing out. It was like different screens, so to speak. And I was told that this is called Inslide Ability. All right. And so this Inslide Ability is another aspect of you that is higher dimensional and more expanded, that views beyond just an astral realm. Because you literally, some of these scenarios that are playing out, they're not all physical realms. Some of them are astral planes that you enter yourself into. You're like seeing different things and you can decide whether you want to go or not, or just sit back and just see what you want to see. But usually for myself, I'm not just going to sit back. I'm going to phase myself or pop myself up into that reality and then have my experience. But I found very quickly that the experience is not always astral and the experience is not always physical. And the experience sometimes is a lucid dream. So sometimes you can go inside of a dream world. I'll talk about lucid dreams at another time. Because there are some distinctions between, even though the line is very blurry now, but there's some distinctions between a very vivid lucid dream and an out-of-body experience. And you can use certain ways of determining which one you're in. But when it comes to your OBEs, where it's just your consciousness traveling, and you don't have that spirit body, there's no body, again, you could be in this place where you're using your Inslide Ability. Another thing I want to mention is when you're in that in-between place, where you're experiencing the whole Inslide Ability and you're seeing on the screen and everything, there are beings or people, if you will, that can interact with you while you're looking at a particular scenario. So it's not always a scenario that's going to play out. You literally can look and there's a room, right? And well, I'm going to give you an example. So one time, for an example, I saw a room and this little girl came out from the left side of the screen and she looked right at me and she held out her arms to give me a book, this big giant book. So she literally, when she held out her arms with the book in her hands, she reached across the screen. Like, just imagine you're at a movie theater and you're watching a movie and this person comes out and looks at you and then reaches across the screen and you're able to just grab whatever they hand you in the theater. And they reached across the screen from inside the screen. Okay. So she reached across the screen and the book, because I didn't have hands, I was pure consciousness. I didn't have any hands or arms. I couldn't just reach out and grab the book. So what happened was when she let the book go, it started floating in the air and started swaying from left to right, just kept on swaying back and forth, left to right to left, kept on swaying. And so I had to take my mind, focus on the book to stop it from swaying so that it eventually stopped and I could read what was on the cover. All right. Stuff like that can happen as well. That wasn't the only time that happened. There was other people in other places where I'm like looking at like a screen and they are interacting with me. And I'm like, how in the world are they able to do that? So some of these people could be spirits, but in this particular case, they represented a particular type of being or species that was trying to communicate with me. I'm not going to get into all those details, but the thing is, there are other beings out there in other places, other star systems, other realms that are benevolent, that communicates with us as well, and they have certain ways in which they do that, and that's one of the ways. The girl had the book, and I was reading the book, and also when you're in that type of state and you're not doing the whole Inslide thing where if there's a screen, there can also be, like one time there was some papers that were stapled together, and that's all I saw was papers stapled together. And I wasn't looking through a screen. It was actually in the reality or in the place that I was. And so I'm reading what's on there, and then I flipped the page. I didn't have any arms. So my mind flipped the page and started reading the next thing. I got pulled back into my body before I had a chance to finish whatever, because it was a lot on there. But the point I'm making is that these things happen, and you can use the information that you receive from either other people or when you're in that spirit state of just pure consciousness, and you see things and things appear and you can read it or you can watch it, whatever it is. Take in that information and bring as much as you can that you can remember back into this reality, because it can assist you in your life. All right. So I just wanted to say that. Also, you can take your consciousness and travel into the air. Now, what I mean by that is both literally in the air and also inside of an object where you have no body. And well, let me back up. So in the air, let's start with that. I've had experiences where I'm literally viewing from the perspective of a bird, so to speak, but I'm not in a bird. I don't have any kind of body. My consciousness is just having a bird's eye view engulfed in that world. And what I mean by that, again, going back to the whole remote view thing, I'm not talking about that, because you can be within your body and view something remotely in that way, but I'm not talking about that. I mean, your consciousness is literally in the place, wherever that place is, and you are moving around in that place with no body. It's just pure consciousness. So no one can see you. And you could be in an astral plane or some other type of spirit realm, or you can be in a physical plane, including this one. All right. In an object, one time I was in a car. And what's interesting is this was more of a bilocation type of experience, because I felt myself laying in the bed on my back, while at the same time I was in this car. While the part of me that was in the car wanted to move the car, it was a nice, beautiful neighborhood somewhere, the car parked on the side. I was in the car and I couldn't move the car. So I knew I wasn't in the spirit realm, because you can do everything with your mind when you are in a spirit or astral realm. Okay. Whatever you think happens, whatever you intend happens, and it happens like that. It's immediate. I could not move this car. I couldn't move anything. I was just there. And so I'm feeling myself laying in the bed while at the same time being in this car. And I look down because I'm wondering why my arms are not raising up so I can drive this car. But I had no legs. I looked down, I had no legs, I had no arms, I had no anything. What I saw was the car seat, black car seat. And so I'm looking around, and I have nothing, no body. It's just consciousness in this car, and I couldn't move the car. I didn't want to get out the car. I just wanted this car to move. Don't ask me why. That's a whole other story why I didn't want to get the car. But anyway, it was just pure consciousness in another physical reality. Okay. That is an out-of-body experience. You are completely out, or I was completely out of this body that I know myself to be physically in this reality. Yet, I wasn't in a spirit plane or an astral plane. This is why I'm telling you that there is way more to an out-of-body experience than just astral realms, an astral plane, and spirit realms. Your consciousness can literally go anywhere, physical or non-physical. you can go there. Now, back to when you're in other versions of yourself, these are like other soul pieces. So you are a soul made up of spirit, and the different aspects of you are having multiple lifetimes parallel to this life that you're living right now. There's different parts of your soul. We'll call it pieces, like I said, or fragments. Some people like to call it fragments, having their own exploration in whatever plane that they're in, physical and non-physical. And so what's happening is it's not necessarily that you're trying to bring pieces back together and all these other type of things. It's just that you are having an awareness of these other parts of yourself. And so when your conscious awareness is in these other parts of yourself, you're viewing from the eyes of that other body. Okay? You don't need your etheric body or your astral body to go with you in order to do that. And so you can have that experience as well as an experience where you're kind of split your consciousness in a way. And what I mean by that is you're in the body of someone else while at the same time you're thinking like the you that you are here. So it's like two different versions all in the same body, but you're always thinking like the you that you are here. If you want to, that's fine. But in this case, what I'm saying is you're sharing the same brain, so to speak. You can tap into that other version of you or the other person's consciousness and know things about this individual while at the same time knowing yourself as you. Okay. I was in the body of this girl who was in middle school. I'm not going to go through the whole story because it is a long story and I don't want this episode to be too long, but I was in the body of a girl who was in middle school and I was 30 something years old. Right? So I'm in her body and I knew that she had been adopted and she had problems with her foster sister or something, and girl was making fun of her or whatever. I knew all these things without having the experience of it because I knew what she was thinking, while at the same time I'm Vernita. You understand? And this brings me to another point that I want to mention really quickly. When I had that experience, that was the first or second time that I was in someone else's body. And I realized when I came back into my body, oh my God, like I understand this whole multiple personality disorder thing that people have. Sometimes people make the assumption that it's some demon or some possession of some entity possession that a person is having. Some people don't even believe that that's even a thing. But those who know that there's some kind of possession that's happening, it's not necessarily that that's what it is or something evil or whatever. This person who has multiple personality disorders or whatever they call it these days may be tapping into other aspects of themselves. And for whatever reason, there's some kind of chemical imbalance or some kind of something that's going on where they have no control of what's happening. And so these other versions of themselves are coming in, speaking out in this reality. Those versions may even be confused at why they're even in there. Because I sure didn't know why I was in this girl's body. I'm like, what is this? So it's very important that when these things happen to you and you're in another version of yourself, another lifetime, that you understand what's going on so that you can control yourself and know what's happening so that you yourself in the reality, your home reality, this reality, don't venture off and into some type of psychosis or mental health type of situation, which many people have because they freak out, they get scared, they get fearful. And the only frame of reference they have for this is some type of mental problem. There is no mental problem. The people that have the mental issue, they're not in alignment and in harmony with the other aspects of their soul pieces. Okay. So I just wanted to say that if you know anybody that has some type of, like I said, multiple personality type of situation going on, mental health issue, when it comes to that, keep in mind that it's not always like something evil that is possessing them. It could be other soul pieces. And so this person needs to understand more about their multidimensional nature and really seek the assistance that can help them. Now, I'm not saying that it's as simple as just talking to somebody who knows about OBEs, such as myself. Someone like that definitely needs professional assistance and help with that. And hopefully the psychologist or whoever they go to understands multidimensional nature, okay, and understands that we're all multidimensional, and this what we're talking about and what I'm talking about on this episode is a real thing. So I just wanted to say that. Now, you as the consciousness that's going into these other versions of yourself, once you understand the power and how powerful that is, you're literally tapping into memories of yourself by experiencing it. It's not like you're sitting down meditating and waiting for something to come to you telepathically, which is cool. That's great. But to actually have that experience and see firsthand what other versions of you had experienced, it's like, it's real. It makes it real. Oh, okay. It's very powerful. And once you become comfortable with all of this and harmonize and align these various aspects of yourself together, it can be very fun. All right. And you'll really enjoy these experiences. Now, when it comes to astral travel and you feel yourself leaving your body, or you're in an astral plane and you see you have a body, that is very powerful as well. That type of OBE, the astral travel experience, it's like you are in a spirit realm that in some of these realms, by the way, and this is another thing, astral, everything isn't just astral, all right? There are so many different versions or planes or realms within the non-physical realm, which is one of the reasons why I don't say other side. When people say, okay, there's this side, the physical, and then there's the other side, you go, there's multiple sides to the other side. So that's not a term that I really use from when I'm talking. I don't say other side because there's so many planes on the other side. And when you are in an etheric body traveling in these realms, sometimes you can be in a realm where you are creating, right? Like I said, your mind, you could create immediately. You can create things and do things and shape things, but that doesn't really affect the reality that you're in right now. Then you can also be in spirit realms where you're literally in the spirit version of the plane that you're in right now, the reality that you're in right now. So this is a physical reality. I'm in this room. I can come out of my body and still be in this room in spirit form, astral travel that most people are used to. So you're in the spirit realm of this physical reality, or the spirit version of this particular physical reality. But again, there's more to that. You can go into a reality where there are the people that have transitioned, loved ones and so forth, wherever they are. I don't even know what to call that because I've met up with my dad several times. And I've also met up with entities that try to look like my dad. And this is another thing. When you are traveling in these spirit realms, whether you want to call it astral or whatever, you've got to look into the eyes of these entities to make sure that they are who they're portraying themselves to be. You can usually feel the energy, especially if it's somebody that you know, a loved one that's passed on. You can feel their energy and know that that's not them or that is them. But if you know that it is them or you sense that it is them, also look into the eyes, all right? Because the eyes will tell you everything. Even when I go into other planes or other star systems and other planets, such as Jupiter, for an example, I was there and there was this Russian guy and me and him were talking. And I say he's Russian because he had a Russian accent, all right? And we were talking, and I was like, oh, Jupiter Ascending, that movie was real. And anyway, so the point I'm making is that when I was there and I was having a conversation with him and this other dude that I was talking to initially, when I was talking to them, they looked human, you know? I didn't really pay much attention to them. I was looking in their face, but I didn't really look hard into the eyes. But then at one point when I looked into their eyes, and looked like stared into it, they were cloudy. They were a different type of eyes. And that told me right there that they weren't human. Which brings me to another point. When you're in these other realities and you go to another star system or another planet and you meet up with people that look human, they may not be human. They may just be looking human so you don't freak out, which is a great thing. Thank you for looking human and not trying to scare me. You know what I mean? But the ones who who may not look human, there's nothing to be scared of. It's just that you know how we are in this reality. We're not used to seeing something that looks like something that you'd see on a horror movie, but it's really not evil, but it just looks strange to us. So I'm just saying that to say that when you go different places, at least from my experience, a lot of them make themselves look human when they talk to you, so on and so forth. Which brings me to another thing. When you are traveling and you go into other planes, you're not always in an earthly realm. Because remember, I was telling you there's different realms of Earth. There's different planes of Earth, I should say. You could be on another planet and in a different plane of that planet or a different star system. And there's 3 primary places within a planet that you could be. That, and it's starting with Earth, for an example, you have this surface Earth, right? There's also inner Earth, and there's also this outer layer that we would call Earth's atmosphere. But it's part of Earth. If you go there, if you go into what we would perceive a future time, there's a place called the X stop, for an example, and people teleport there. And when you go there, it is not, they don't call it Earth's atmosphere. They say Earth. You see? People don't always say, and you go on the inner Earth, they sometimes call it the inside, but they may just say Earth. So a lot of times when all of these experiences first started happening to me, I'm like, people kept telling me I was on Earth, or not on. They didn't say on. They said, I'm like, where am I? They say Earth. Eventually, as time went on, I realized I was going to inner Earth a lot. And then eventually to this other part of Earth. And then there's a part of Earth called wells. There's a well, it's a gap or something. I don't really understand that too much. I'm still working on the understanding of that, but there's a whole other thing. So the other planets are the same way. You could be on the surface in the spirit version of that planet, or in what we would perceive a past time or future time where people are on the surface. Or you could be on the inside of that planet or in that planet's atmosphere. If you're in your astral body or you don't have a body, of course you can be in the atmosphere because you're not breathing. So some people they don't believe that people have gone to other planets and all these. Remember, your spirit. If you're taking your astral body someplace, of course you can go there. What's stopping you? The gas? You're not breathing. You don't have a physical body. So what's stopping you from doing that? So getting back to the teleportation, I want to mention that because that's a little different than just your regular astral travel or astral projection, or you coming outside of your body, drifting away, going somewhere. Teleportation and what we perceive the future to be, especially around the year 4000 something, is exactly what we think teleportation is here, which is if someone could take their physical body and teleport somewhere, that happens. It just hasn't happened yet, or maybe it has happened and the government kept it from us, whatever. The point is, there's a future, what we perceive to be future here, which is really just a parallel version that's happening right now, of Earth, where people are in the atmosphere, and it's called the X stop, one of the places. And I asked the lady when I got there, how do people get here? Because at the time I was from the year 2016, and this is 4000 whatever, and she told me teleport. She didn't say astral travel. She didn't say consciousness going somewhere, none of this. She didn't say nothing spirit related, anything mystical. It was just simple teleportation. They teleport. That's what she said, teleport. And so when I told her I was from 2016, she didn't trip. She didn't flinch. She didn't what? None of that. The thing was, there was an aspect of me that was in my astral body or etheric body initially. Then my consciousness went into another version of myself from that etheric body, went to another version of myself that was there, because that can happen too. You can leave, your consciousness can leave the etheric body that you're maneuvering around the spirit realm with and go into another body. Because remember, you're not technically leaving anything. It's what you're allowing yourself to be aware of. So there's an aspect of you, if you want to call it higher self or highest version of yourself, that's orchestrating all of this. And you're able to now go from what you perceive right in this moment to something else, just like that. And it happens a lot when you're in the spirit realm. You can just go somewhere else and be into another quote unquote physical reality from the spirit realm. And that's what happened. So I teleported, but the teleport didn't happen from the Vernita here body. I was in a spirit realm first. My consciousness went into another version of myself that teleported. You see what I'm saying? Because there was another version of me that was in that reality that knew who these people were, while at the same time that Vernita consciousness in this reality didn't know. I was kind of like sharing that consciousness. A part of me knew, a part of me didn't know. And there were people, one person in particular that I knew from this reality playing a different part, so to speak. And that person was not somebody that had been in my life a long time. That person actually was a supervisor of mine from years ago from a job that I had. And we knew each other very well in that reality. That can happen too. I have a cousin that have been in different places that I've been where he's not my cousin in those other realities. He's my cousin here. And he was a stranger in one of the realities. It's like the people that we interact with in this reality, even if it's just for a season, even if it's somebody who's not a major player in your reality right now, just someone that you've met along the way of life. They may be somebody who's really important to you in another lifetime, which is, again, a parallel reality. And we're like playing parts with each other in different lifetimes. It's very interesting how this works. And once you allow yourself to have these various experiences, you'll see that. All right, so lastly, I want to talk about bilocation and trilocation. And I briefly went into bilocation a little bit, but let me explain it further. Again, your consciousness can go many different places, wherever it wants to go, without an etheric body or an astral body. You can also lay in a bed, sit in a chair, be in this reality relaxing. You have your out-of-body experience. You can feel your body drift away. By the way, just because you don't feel your body drift away does not mean that it's not astral. It doesn't mean that just because you don't feel it, that it's just consciousness travel, because you can leave your body in multiple ways. And your etheric or astral body can leave different areas, and it also may leave so quickly that you don't even feel it. Just wanted to say that. But once you leave your body, you can literally feel yourself still, like if you're laying in the bed at night, laying in the bed and having your astral experience, while at the same time, your consciousness or your conscious awareness part of it leaves the astral body and goes somewhere else, and be completely aware of what's happening there. Feeling all three places simultaneously. This happens, okay? And it can go even further than that. Because remember, you are pure consciousness. That's what you are. So all of these things that are happening, you can literally split your consciousness in ways where your awareness can be multiple places at a time. So that's where that bilocation, trilocation, and so on comes from. That can happen. Now, when it comes to leaving this world and what people will call death, and then you're going somewhere, you're not really going anywhere. You are transitioning into an awareness that was already there. It's already there. Right now, we have our conscious awareness in this particular reality, like full blown, this is it, but it's not it. When you transition out of this reality, what happens next is different for different people. I'll talk about that in another time, but this whole thing that everyone's talking about, you're going through a tunnel and meet up with your family, all that may happen to some people, but with others, you could literally leave this reality, go right into another reality, live a life, go right into another one, live a life, and go right into another one. Some people can remember all of those lives, and some people don't. It depends. There's so many different ways in which things happen once you leave one reality and go into another one. And it's different for different people. It is. So I had an experience where I was laying in the bed and everything was dim. It was like I was in a hospital room or something. I was laying. So from this reality's perspective, I was laying down in my bed having what people would call astral travel experience, because my astral body or etheric body left and went to go explore. Okay. Simultaneously with, there was an experience where I was in a bed that seemed like a hospital room, but it started getting dimmer. So I couldn't really tell whether it was a hospital bed or not, or who I was. But obviously I was sick and I was dying. I was hooked up to machines or whatever, and I was taking my last breath. So the room was getting dimmer and dimmer and dimmer, and then I took my last breath. And as I breathed out, my spirit merged with the version of me that was in the astral realm wandering around. I'm calling it astral realm in this particular sense, but it could have been another type of spirit realm. But I believe it was the astral realm because of the reason that I was there. I'm not going to get into all of that. But I merged with that version of myself, just like that. There was no tunnels. There was no family welcoming me and all these other things. Another thing to keep in mind is that the version of you that you are right now, depending on a lot of belief systems, determine what happens next once you leave outside of this reality. So I could leave outside of this reality and be completely awakened to everything that I'm saying in its full knowingness, right? And when that happens, who is the family that's going to come and greet me? And I'm saying that because you've been many people. So it doesn't necessarily, if you come out of this reality with the consciousness of knowing all the various versions of yourself, it's not just going to be the family that you know here that passed on that's going to greet you and all of that. That will happen with people who are stuck thinking that that's all that they are. So it's very common for someone who, if that's all you think you are, then it makes sense that the people that have passed on in this particular reality, when you leave, greet you and all these other type of things. Not everybody needs that greeting. And also keep in mind that some people are like, this reality that we live in is literally an initiation. Some people are sitting up in a temple right now, either in a cave or a pyramid. And this right here, this reality, is part of their initiation process. This is not, let me just go to Earth and have some fun. These people are literally, this is like a dream. This is a dream to them in a world where it's like they're going through trials and tribulations to see if they've passed these tests. That's not everybody's situation, though. That's why I say what happens to people when they leave is different, okay? I want to put that out there because everyone is under the impression that it's all the same thing, and it's not. And your belief in this reality, that it's a factor, put it that way. It's a factor. And there are many factors that's going to determine the complete determination of what you experience once you leave this reality. I want to say that I'll talk more about that in another episode, but I want to say that because what's recently happened lately is people that I've known that have transitioned, family members and others and different things. And then I'm seeing one person in particular that's completely shifting how they are for whatever reason, thinking that they're not going to go somewhere because they need to believe certain things that are taught in religious beliefs and certain things like that. And so I just want you to understand that it's not the same for everybody. But what is the same is we wake up. What you wake up to is going to be different, but we wake up. All right? So let's recap. Astral travel is a type of out-of-body experience. OBEs do not equate to astral travel. Your consciousness can leave your body, either this particular body, or your consciousness is leaving a version of you in another reality and you go travel that way. Okay? When you have your etheric body or astral body traveling around in different realms, you could be in all kind of realms. It doesn't need to be necessarily the astral realm because spirit realm is very vast. So there's different versions of that. When you're in a physical reality, you could just be pure consciousness, having an experience, looking into that reality and be engulfed in that reality, but you don't have a body. You can also view that reality from in a spirit world that I don't know what to call it, but it's the void, if you want to call it that. A lot of people like to say that. But I'll just say this, it's a darkness. It's a dark area. You don't see anything to the right and left of you, but right in front of you is different scenarios that are playing out. And you can take your consciousness and go into those scenarios. When you go into those scenarios, you're going into those scenarios with a body. You'll have a body once you pop into those scenarios. So your consciousness can go into another physical reality as pure consciousness. It can also go into the spirit realm. So a spirit reality, if you will, as pure consciousness, and then travel from there to different places. Seeing the scenario play out, phase into it. And there's different levels of all of what I'm talking about. I'm just trying to keep it as simple as possible. And that is called Inslide Ability. Not the popping in and phasing in, but the fact that you can see either from the movie screen being rectangular type of situation or the circular telescope type of way of viewing. You can also bilocate, trilocate, and be multiple places at multiple times and be completely aware of the various places that you are traveling around in while still feeling yourself laying in a bed or sitting in a chair, being in one other place and then in another place and in another place simultaneously. That is possible, okay? You can go into other versions of yourself, whether it's in the spirit realm or in another physical reality, in another planet or on another planet or around another planet or star system. That is how multidimensional you are. Once you allow for yourself to have these experiences, especially when they come on spontaneously because your higher self is leading you into something, you'll see that these experiences are fun. They're telling you something as long as you pay attention. And they're also a way of tapping into memories. Have you ever wanted to tap into a memory and wanted to know what happened in a quote unquote past life, which is really a parallel version of yourself? Some of these experiences that you have, that's what that is. You're literally tapping into the memory by seeing through the eyes of that version of yourself. If you're having spontaneous out-of-body experiences and you want to make sense of all of it, and you want to navigate all of this with comfort and ease and want someone to guide you through it, go to meetwithvernita.com and let's have a conversation and let's see if it makes sense for us to move forward together. All right, so with that said, I'll see you on the next episode, episode 8, where I'm going to be talking about lucid dreams versus OBEs.